Today we're doing part 1 of our Builder's Business Blueprint. And the reason why we're doing this is because we understand to get to a destination, you first need your GPS. You need a map, you need a roadmap to now get to XYZ. But how can we do that? You have to understand that when you're coming into business, there's so many unforeseen things. There's so many variables. And so like we mentioned before, so many people, especially when it comes to blue collar, we tend to just jump in. We want to get our hands dirty. We want to just start working. And then we say, we're going to figure out everything on the end. And I was like that. When I started contracting, I started to recognize that people wanted me for my service. People wanted me to do work. And now your work, your skills is worth money. It's valuable to you. So what happens? We start doing side jobs. We start getting better. And the more proficient we get at our task, the easier it is, the more money we want to do. And then once you get your license, we tell people all the time, once you get that license, that's the most dangerous thing for a true trades professional. Because once again, we know so many people who've been in the industry for years and they never get their license. So if you're one of the few who take the time to study, apply, take the exam, and you fail once, twice, 3 times, but then you eventually get that license, guess what? I say that thing, that license you're holding is now your key to the kingdom. That license is so dangerous because every day you wake up now and you go to work and your boss tells you, hey, go do XYZ. Go do this. Go do it like this. What happens for so many of us? At the back of our mind, we're like, why is he doing it like that? If I had my own company, I would run it this way. If I was doing it, I would have run it this way. He doesn't know how to schedule. He doesn't know what it's like to be in the field anymore. So you start thinking that you can do a better job. That license is what gave you that confidence because you recognize at that moment, you just put in the same amount of work as the owner of that company. And that's dangerous because now you start thinking in a different way. You start looking at your work, at your assignment differently. You want to take more pride in what you do because eventually you know, if I go on my own, I want to be able to do this or better. So that's the key. And what happens? We eventually start doing side work. Then we call our boss and we say, hey, can I start working part-time? I just want to work 1-2 days on my own while I build up my client list. And what happens for the most part? After 2-3 weeks, you already start thinking, I want to quit. And what happens? You end up telling your boss, never mind, I want to try it out on my own. Because you recognize how quick you can turn a buck, but how quicker you can learn from your mistakes. And then you learn, oh man, the hardest part was just taking the jump. Everything else is going to come in its place. That is an amazing, amazing experience and feeling any which one of us can have. And it's why we are all contractors today. Because we recognize, hey, this is difficult, but I can figure it out. So with that in mind, that's why we are all here as contractors. But what if I can tell you, you don't have to figure every single step out. And the ones who do want to figure every step out, there might be a roadmap, a blueprint, a map for you to get there even quicker. Another thing within the industry, so many people have issues with is so many of us want to say, I can do it on my own. I don't need no help. I'll figure it out. And guess what? Getting your license, quitting your job, and becoming where you are today, that's exactly what got you here. That's a beautiful quality because you're not afraid. You faced your fear and you jumped all in. That's exactly what you need to become successful. But what if I can tell you, I can show you a blueprint, a roadmap, what to expect in your first, second, third year of business, all the way up to your 6th, and you could still do it all on your own. I'm not taking any of that away from you because each and every one of you have built that legacy on your own. There's common roadblocks. There's common hurdles and there's common situations that each one of us face. And the last year of 2024, we've been sharing that with each and every one of you. So how can we see those issues? How can we see those roadblocks, plan for them, overcome them? So guess what? When now you have no obstacles, or when you know there's an obstacle, you know when to avoid it, and you can keep going 100%. That's what this is about. That's what the Builders Business Workshop is all about. And today we're gonna go over part 1 on how to build your own blueprint for your business for 2025 and years to come. In 2024, what I loved about it the most was that we got to travel the US and we got to meet some amazing tradespeople from East Coast to West Coast, all contractors from all different states, all different situations and backgrounds. We met individuals who aspired to be a contractor and said, I'm gonna apply at the end of the year. 2 weeks later, they applied and was granted licensure. Guys who started for their first year, just finished their first year. Guys who are 3 years in, all the way up to 5, 10, 15 plus years. And each one of you are an example. And with all those experiences, we came together to build you your own blueprint. Today, as mentioned, we're going over part 1 of 4. So if you guys want to stick around, the next 2 weeks, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to be jumping in to discuss these 4 parts on how to build your own blueprint for 2025. So today is our intro day. We understood our background. We understood where we all want to go. We talked about this week. None of us are jumping into contracting to have more stress for an average outcome, or come into business, come into contracting so we can make less money than we did at our previous job. Nobody wants to do that. No one wants to put up with the fighting. No one wants to put up with the issue, the bills, the stress for nothing. We all know that we're in business for that potential, that opportunity to hit it big. What does big look like for you? We're going to discuss that with What Success. But today, we're going to see why it's important, why and how to build a blueprint, and why a blueprint is important for you guys. So just as we mentioned before, a blueprint, just like all of us when we started out in trades, level 1, we learned these are the identifiers. This is the symbol for a receptacle. This is a symbol for a light fixture. This is a symbol for a home run. This is a symbol for a dedicated circuit. To the point where we became proficient at opening up a blueprint and we already knew what was needed. To the point also, when something wasn't on a blueprint, we said, hey, that should be here. Hey, this wall is more than 6 feet. We need another receptacle. Hey, this wall over here, this countertop. We were proficient to the point where even if the blueprint was missing something, we knew where to find it, or we knew what was needed. And we had that separate list. We all love it as contractors, the change order, because we knew we was going to hit it big. In the sense of building a business, your blueprint is going to do just that. We're going to go over some of the hurdles, some of the common mistakes contractors face in their first, second, third year of business. We're also going to go over some plateaus a lot of us run into, especially when it comes to scaling your business, growing it, and trying to get over that threshold. And then we're going to talk about the importance of executing at the speed of instruction. Because speed, as we all learned, is very valuable when it comes to owning and operating your own business. When it comes to speed, we understand we need to go for liftoff. So we're going to start off by the importance. As we mentioned before, when it comes to submitting a bid, starting a new project, when it's your turn for your craft to come in, when it comes to that time, the rough-in phase of your scope of work, you need a blueprint. You need the blueprint to put in the estimate, to put in the bid. You need the blueprint before you start. Throughout the project, there's change orders, red lines that you have to update the blueprint. And guess what? At final, when you finally commissioned everything in the system, guess what do you do with those blueprints? You give it to the PM, the GM, you give it to them, and you hand off the final copy so they can have their updated drawings, their updated red lines, panel schedules, etc. That blueprint is with you throughout every phase of the project. And guess what? It gets beat up, it gets marked over, you spill some coffee on it, it has some donut sprinkles on it. Whatever you do with that blueprint, you protect it with dear life. There's even experiences where guys, true or not, take that blueprint home with you. They take that blueprint home because they don't want nobody else to know what's marked up. They don't want other people in the company to know, hey, how do I get ahead? That's how you should treat your blueprint for your business. Throughout the year, you're going to reference back to this blueprint. Throughout the year, you're going to look at it. You're going to understand, hey, this worked. I got to try this again. This didn't work. Let's not go there. And slowly but surely, you're going to figure out your own roadmap, your own blueprint on how you're going to run your operation. That is why the blueprint is so important. Just like any project, just like any job, that blueprint stays with you, so will your blueprint for your business plan for 2025. And throughout the year, you're going to see many opportunities where, hey, there's an obstacle coming. I need to avoid that. Boom. I already had it marked down. This ties with so many. The blueprint is the fundamentals of your business, because when it comes to scaling your operation, when it comes to growing your workforce, you're going to need systems. The blueprint, it should be your first system when it comes to 2025. That is why this blueprint is so important. The blueprint also is going to be telling you, and every year as you grow, you're going to update your blueprint with your new findings. You're going to update your blueprint with your yearly goals and your different milestones, just like a project, within that year. So every quarter you have a different milestone you're working for, just like a GPS. So that blueprint is going to be telling you, where do you want to be December 31st of 2025. That blueprint now is telling you, hey, I want to make, for example, $1,000 a day. So we're looking at $350K a year. I want to make $1,000 a day, $350K a year. That's my goal. So now we know how to break that down. We know how to break that down. And so I need to make roughly 75 to 90K every quarter. So now every quarter, we know it's what, 3 months. Cool. So I need to make 75. So that's looking like 25K, right? 25K to what? 30K every 3 months, every month. So I can make my quarterly. Now you break it down to, okay, this is what I need to make on a weekly basis now. So now you break your month down into 4 or 5 weeks, so on and so on and so on. You have a visual representation of where you want to go, just like a GPS. And guess what? When you break it down into that system, now you know how fast you have to go. You know how fast you have to operate. You know how long you have to work. You know how many days of the week you have to work, and then so on and so on. Or you reverse engineer it and you decide, hey, I can't do this on my own. I need another guy. Another guy, now we can make that weekly goal. We can make that monthly goal, so on and so on. So you can meet your goal designed by your blueprint. When it comes to that, speed is very essential, because after you have your blueprint, after you know where you're going to go at the quarter, at the end of the year, guess what? If you don't have speed, you're not going to go anywhere. Just like when you sit down in your car, you turn on the GPS and you say, cool, I'm going to go to 123 Main Street, 10 miles away. Awesome. But if you just sit in your car, or if you never look at it while you're driving, it doesn't matter if you know your end destination. If you're not actively working towards your end destination, you're just wasting. You can be going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. So speed is one of those things where with a GPS, it can be very, very useful. And that's what we have to keep in mind. When it comes to speed, we're going to illustrate why speed is so important. And I've said this many times. So over here, this video is not sponsored by clients, so client don't drop us. But God, with the law of gravity, made things heavy fall. So if something has weight, it falls. There's no floating, there's no flying. But do you know how I can make this thing fly? If I chuck this thing, if I chuck it with enough speed and force, this thing will stay in the air until it loses velocity and then it'll fall right back down. So with that illustration in mind, speed defies the laws of gravity. If you have something heavy with enough speed going, it can take and create lift, like an airplane. So with enough speed in the way you operate your business, with enough speed in how you operate your personal affairs, with enough speed and a heading, you're going to be unstoppable. You're going to be unstoppable. If you know at the end of the quarter, you need to make 35K, then you break that down into a weekly goal. I need every week. And then you go. That's hustling. That's where speed is going to create lift, and you're going to have now momentum in your business. Speed is very valuable when it comes to your blueprint, because speed is the force you need to create enough momentum, create enough lift for you to reach your end destination. That's the importance of having a heading, having a business plan, having a blueprint as a contractor, and speed is going to help get you there. With all that in mind, you have to truly focus on your heading, that GPS. Why? Because when you go, if things happen along the way, it can distract you. Just like what they say, don't text and drive. Don't talk on the phone and drive, right? I know every contractor does it. But when you text and drive, what happens? You get distracted. You can veer off course. You can hit somebody, car crash, you name it. You need to stay focused on your goal. What is goal? What does success look like for you? Well, that is our next point in our blueprint. You have to understand what success looks like for you. And this goes back to the conversation that we had at the beginning of the year in 2024, starting off in January. We said, what is success? And for the first few months of 2024, we broke down the definition. So we know that success is the good and the bad outcome of your efforts. That can make sense when something good happens. But if something bad happens, how can that still be viewed as successful? That brings us now to our next point with Thomas Edison. Remember, to the point where Thomas Edison had a creation that he was working on, and he kept failing. He didn't know what to do. He did everything under the sun just to create this, a light bulb. He tried over 1,000 times to create one of these guys, a light bulb. And what happened? He failed 999 times. What happened? On that 1,000th try, he hit it. And he created a light bulb with a life expectancy of 15 minutes because he found the right filament to use for it. But what was his mindset when it came to creating that light bulb? Did he say, I failed 1,000 times? No. He said, I learned 1,000 ways how to not create a light bulb. His mindset was not stuck on limiting beliefs. It was not stuck on negativity. He learned from his experience, kept trying, till eventually he was successful. That is the beautiful definition of success. It's the good and or bad outcome of your efforts. If it hits, good, you're successful. If it's bad, if you keep trying, and then you hit it, you can now too be successful. That also reinforces the importance of your blueprint. There's times, like we mentioned, you're going to have to change it, just like a line diagram, just like a rework, just like a change order. You're going to have to go back to edit it. But guess what? If you try and then fix it, try, run into another issue, try an update, and next thing you know, you hit it, you can still have a successful blueprint even when that thing is marked up with red lines. You never hand over a print with all the markups and say, this is a bad job. No, you're glad you finished it. Here's the final copy so they can stamp it, put it into their engineering program, and now you have a final copy. That is what success looks like for Thomas Edison. That is what success will look like for you guys with your blueprint. With that in mind, what are some limiting beliefs? What are some things that hold people from creating their own business plan, from creating their own blueprint? My favorite, once again, we'd said it many, many times. The 30-year-old contractor, the 30-year-old in business contractor who said, I've been doing this for 30 years and I don't need a game plan. Look at me, I don't need self-help. Look at me, I can do it on my own. Look at me, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm happy. And what do we say? These are the guys with the beer guts, chugging one down on a Friday afternoon. Their knees are killing them, their back's killing them. They're on every job site because they don't have a blueprint. They may follow a blueprint, but they themselves don't have a blueprint. But here's the thing. If that is what success looks like for them, if that is their roadmap, then to each their own. Rock on, bro. But if you are deciding that success looks like for you here, and your GPS is going to take you here, and my man's is over here, you ain't got to worry about him. You just got to keep focused on what success looks like for you, and don't have his limiting beliefs hold you back. That is why limiting that contact with those type of people, limiting those limiting beliefs is going to be so valuable to you as a contractor, because those limiting beliefs is going to steer you away from your blueprint. You may have a goal and someone's going to say, I tried that, it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Are you going to stop just because someone else tried something and it didn't work for them? Going back, I wanted to talk about an experience I had when I was going for my electrical license. I remember when I first started the trade, I was probably 2 years in, I was still working in New York City. And I was talking to somebody because all my older friends who were in the trades were saying, Will, go for your license, go for your license. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm all excited. My blueprint's saying, I want to be a licensed contractor, right? I'm going for it. I knew what I had to do. I needed to work 4 years, get 8,000 hours, I already had my schooling, and guess what? We're going to hit it. I'm going to go, work all the overtime. I wanted to hit 8,000 hours. Until I met my old man, 30 years in the contracting game, knew everything, knew every inspector. Oh, bro, I'll take care of you. And he said, don't worry about your license. Nah, it's too difficult. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. So what do I start believing? I think my man's successful. My man knows a thing or two. Guess what? I go back to my friends and they say, yo, Will, how much longer you got for your license? And I'm like, nah, it's too difficult. They stopped. They looked at me and they was like, my bad. I didn't know you took the exam and you failed. And I said, no, I didn't take the exam. And then he said, so why are you saying that it's difficult? He then says, you are now telling yourself it's difficult and you didn't even try it. That's a loser. That's a punk. Go to the dude who told you that. Ask him, did he take the exam? I show up to work the next day. Yo, my man, when you said the license was difficult, why'd you say that? Did you go for it? Nah, man, I never went for my exam. It doesn't matter. One of my buddies took it. So for a while, I was thinking the exam was too difficult because of some dude who's been in the trades for 30 years, who act like he knew it all, didn't even try. I was stuck in my limiting beliefs. After that, I went back gun-ho because I knew my heading, I knew how fast I had to do, even faster because I lost time believing this man over here with his myth. So everybody, when it comes to your goals, when it comes to your blueprint, I need you guys to stay focused. This was part 1 of Intro to Builder's Business Blueprint. you have to understand why a blueprint's valuable, why and where you're headed to, so that you can work with speed to reach that goal. At the same time, you have to understand and focus on what it is you are working for. What are you solving? What does success look like for you? When you do that, you're going to have the mindset you need to overcome those limiting beliefs. This is part 1 of Builder's Blueprint. If you found this interesting, check out our next video where we go over part 2 on what you need to do to build your blueprint. And we're going to talk about setting goals. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you like this video, feel free to jump onto the next one.